On today's episode, we're going to be talking all about sergers, or as some people would call it, overlockers. This is the Singer 14HD854. It is an amazing serger. Today I'm going to be showing you how to thread it, and I'm also going to show you some of the features that it has. It comes with this book that is actually quite thick and has lots of information that you need on how to use this serger. I will say though that this book has lots of other languages in it, so it's not all English. So in the manual, you find things like how to select your stitches, accessories that come with your machine, how to remove the needle, how to insert a needle, how to prepare your serger, how to thread the different parts of it, adjust stitch length and stitch width. This book is just packed with lots of knowledge, and even though I was not a beginner sewist when I got this book, it was still very helpful for me. So I'm gonna go ahead right now and show you guys how to actually thread this serger. The beautiful thing about it is that it does come with this diagram on the inside right here that pretty much tells you where to put each of the threads. And when you get this serger, you're going to get it with colors that match each of these knobs. As you can see, they're yellow, red, green, and blue, and they also have them labeled here in the photos. So the thread that's going to be in this knob will be the thread that comes out on the top layer of your fabric. The yellow one will be the one that's going to come out on the bottom layer of your fabric when you do an overlock stitch. This serger has two needles, and there's a needle on the right and a needle on the left. The third one, which is green, will be the right needle, and the fourth one, which is blue, will be the left needle. So the greatest thing that you can do in order to familiarize yourself with this sewing machine is to know where each of these knobs fall. And that's what I just broke down for you. If your serger is already threaded and you don't want to have to rethread it, this is what you can do. Like I said, your serger is going to come with threads that match each of these colors, and you'll also get a test strip of fabric underneath the presser foot that's going to show you the stitch that this machine would have done. Mine is currently threaded, so I'm going to go ahead and turn it around. Oh my gosh. So I'm going to turn it around and show you guys how to change it without having to do all of the tedious things. I still recommend that you learn how to thread it though, just so that if it's not already threaded, you would still be able to thread it yourself. This piece up here is pretty much a thread guide. And this thread guide is where all of the threads go through from the thread stand around to the parts that they're supposed to be in. As you can see, the thread guide extends pretty high up there. But for the purpose of this video, I'm going to lower my thread guide to this level where you can still see it. I'm going to use the color thread that matches each of the knobs so that you guys will be able to grasp this much better. I'm going to start over here. And this is the bottom looper thread or lower looper thread. You'll put the thread on the thread stand, loop the thread into this part right here, and you'll take the thread that's already in the yellow knob and tie the ends together like this. So you bring them together and then you'll just wrap it around your finger and create the tiniest loop. Then you can cut away the excess thread. The next one is red, and that is the upper looper, which means that that will come out on the top layer of the fabric. So I'm going to take my red thread and put it on. Then I'm going to loop it through here and grab the thread that's already in the upper looper knob. I'm going to hold them together and tie them in a knot like this. Cut away the excess thread, and I can move on to the next color, which is green, and that's for the right needle. So I'll just put this on here, pass it through the loop, and then take this thread and tie like this. I'll just cut right here. And then the final thread is the blue one, which is the left needle. I'll repeat the same steps. And as you can see, this is pretty simple. Like you're pretty much just tying all the threads together. Cut right there. And then this is where the fun stuff actually happens. So I'm gonna turn the serger around. And this right here is the foot pedal that comes with the serger. So this is what you step on to make the serger go. And this is the piece that you plug into the serger itself. This part you plug into the wall. So if you turn your serger around, you'll see the plug on the side right here. So you'll just plug it in, plug the other part into the wall. To turn the serger on, you will just press this button right here. And this light is going to come on. So I'm going to turn it back off. That way you can see the light come on when I turn it on. So when you press the presser foot or press the foot pedal, it surges. And as you can see, it's very noisy, or as you can hear, I should say, it's very noisy. This lever at the back of your serger, when you lift this up, the presser foot of the serger is going to come up. So if your thread is under there, or if your fabric is under there, you can lift this up, pull your thread out or pull your fabric out, and then when you're done, you just put it back down. So you want to have this down whenever you're serging anything. So while you step on the foot pedal, you're going to notice that your thread is being pulled. So it's already changing out right here. You can see that the red thread and the yellow thread are starting to come through. But the ones that you're going to want to watch out for are the blue and the green. And with the blue and the green, you're going to have to rethread those entirely instead of just having it come through the needle. Because sometimes the needle isn't big enough for the thread and then your thread will pop. Once you've gotten the yellow part through, your other threads will start coming as well. You'll notice that the green thread has made its way down here. So remember, we have green thread here. So at this point, you're going to be needing a tweezer. The tweezer that they send with this machine is honestly not the best. So I just use a regular domestic tweezer. And you would just pull these two threads out. You'll just pull on each of them. It might help to take this part out of the way. And once you've done that, you can wrap this thread around this loop here and then pull this one through until you get the thread that you currently have in it. So it's currently the blue thread for me. I'm going to cut that right there. If you're pulling on your threads and they're too tight, you can use the tension dial right here to change the tension. And the book tells you all of those things. I just adjusted my tension to about 2. And then I'm going to wrap the thread around that little loop right there. You're going to notice a loop. Some things are going to be kind of hard to show you guys on the camera simply because they're really small. But when you have your serger / overlocker, you're going to be able to see exactly what I'm talking about. And then in my tweezer, I'm going to take the green thread and I'm going to put it through the eye of the right needle. I'm going to collect the thread at the back here and just bring it all the way around. And then I'm going to take the blue thread and put that through the left needle. Collect it at the back and pull it through like this. And I'm going to just bring all of the threads below the presser foot. So I'm going to use this scrap piece of fabric to test, to just make sure that this is threaded properly. My presser foot is already raised, so I'm just going to put my fabric in line with the inner edge of the presser foot. I'm going to lower the presser foot, then I'm going to press on the foot pedal. You might have noticed there that this serger was pretty much dancing on the table while I was using it. That's something that you're gonna have to get used to with this sewing machine. It's not very steady. It moves a lot while you use it. But this is what my serger stitch looks like. This is the back. And guys, please pay no mind to my nail. I need to go get it done, but I had to record this video regardless. So now I'm going to show you guys how to thread this from scratch, which is going to be a lot more tedious, but I'm going to show you anyway, and hopefully it will be helpful for you. I'm going to cut every single one of these threads and I'm going to run it through. You see how much the serger is moving? Crazy. Right. So now everything is out. There are some hooks at the back right here that you're going to loop your thread into after passing them through these at least. So you just go like this, put it under there, bring it to the front. Now at the front, you're going to take the thread and put it into the dial. You can hold it at the back here, bring it into the dial and down through the groove. Same thing here, down through the dial and down through the dial. And what these dials do is that they control the tension of the thread. This diagram tells you everything that you need to do in order to thread the serger. You can also find instructions inside the manual on page 12. This is pretty much the next step. You're going to pass the thread behind the hooks right here, and then there's a hook here and a hook here that you would pass the threads under as well. But I'm going to go one thread at a time. The first one that you want to thread is this one right here, which is the upper looper. This is going to appear on the top of your fabric. And they say that this is orange, but this looks more like red to me. And you can see the color on each of the steps that you're supposed to follow. So you have it behind here. Then you put it under there. Then you bring it behind this hook right here that also has a red dot on it. And then the next red dot would be up here. So you would just bring your thread behind that hook. Then you take the end of the needle, the end of the thread with the tweezer, and put it through this hole right here. You can catch that at the back of your sewing machine. As you can see, I went behind this hook, then I went under this loop, then behind this loop, behind this one, and then through this hole up here. The next thing I'm going to thread is the bottom looper. which is the yellow thread. So it's already behind this hook, and the next step from there is to put it in the next spot that has a yellow dot. This machine makes it so easy for you to thread this serger that you really can't get lost. Well, actually you can get lost, but it just takes practice. So you'll just bring the thread behind this one here, bring the thread behind this, you bring it behind this one as well, and you're pretty much just following all of the steps that have yellow dots on them. So there's another step around here that has a yellow dot that you can't see from the angle that the phone is. I feel like if you're to get lost at any of the steps, it's really going to be the step with the yellow thread. It's probably the least straightforward, but that's why it's good to just thread the machine once, and then every single time after that, you would essentially just pull the threads through like I showed you at the beginning of this video. But once you have the yellow thread looped around the last one right here, according to this picture, you just take this yellow thread, wrap it around this piece, and pull until it goes over to that side. So if you look at your overlocker from this angle, you'll notice that there's a groove at the back of this piece right here that the thread is going to hook on. Once it hooks there, you just take this part and put it through this hole. So you just hold on to the end of that thread and bring it around here. So this is how your red and your yellow thread are going to look interacting with each other. We're going to be threading these two. So that would be the right needle and the left needle. So we're going to take the thread for the right needle, put it back here. It's also going to go underneath this hook. Then it's going to go into this part with the green dot. I'm going to use my hand wheel to just move my needle up. And since this should be going into the right needle, I'm going to just take the green thread and I'm going to loop it around the hook right here. That hook is way too small for me to show on the camera, but when you're threading your serger, you're going to see it for yourself. So I'm going to take the green thread in this tweezer and put it through the eye of the right needle. I'm going to push it through enough to where I can actually just grab it at the back of the sewing machine like this. And then for the blue thread, which is the left needle, I'm gonna put it under this hook, put it into this area that has the blue dot, and then I'm gonna bring it down to here. I'm gonna wrap it around this, take the end of the blue thread in the tweezer. So we just put this into the eye of the needle and then just collect that thread. I'm, however, going to just bring my blue thread over to this side instead so I can put it underneath my presser foot. So now they're all threaded and we can actually close this part, which can be very loud. And I'm going to test on my scrap of fabric to see if it's actually threaded properly, or to make sure that it's threaded properly.